So a lot of people wait for that right time to invest in the market. But what they forget about is that market, you cannot time the market. And the way the wealth has been created is when you are actually invested into the market. When you do an SIP, I would suggest that they should keep a goal in mind and do that SIP accordingly. So if it is a goal for the child education, and if that cost is 50 lakh rupees, I think do a backward calculation. Your income will keep on increasing.
Hello everyone. Today I'd like to welcome you all on behalf of Bajaj Finance Limited. It is a continuous endeavor to bring knowledge from the world of mutual funds for our customers and viewers. And for this, we invite leaders from mutual fund industry to come and share their knowledge and expertise with us. Today, we have with us Mr. Gaurav Goyal, National Head, Sales and Marketing from Canara Robeco Mutual Funds. Mr. Gaurav, I would like to welcome you for this session.
Thank you so much, Rohan, and thank you very much for giving Canara Robeco this opportunity to interact with your investors and customers. Indeed, thank you very much.
Uh, Thank you, sir. Before starting the session, I'd like to give a brief introduction about Mr. Gaurav Goyal. Mr. Goyal has a distinguished career of over 22 years in financial services across banking, life insurance, capital markets, and mutual funds. In his past assignments in mutual fund industry, he worked with mutual fund houses like ITI Mutual Fund, Principal Mutual Fund, and ICICI Prudential Mutual Funds as at many different levels and leadership level. Today, in this topic, we will be talking about SIPs and their benefits. Well, friends, SIPs have become a common buzzword in households in India. The reason for this popularity is quite obvious. SIP is a convenient way of building wealth with small and regular contributions. With this, you are putting wealth creation on autopilot. And in today's session, Mr. Gaurav will help us understand SIPs and their benefits and how we can create wealth for ourselves. Well, friends, without wasting much of our time, I'd like to hand over the stage to Mr. Gaurav. Sir, I would like you to take it ahead from here.
Thank you so much, Rohan. Indeed, our pleasure to be part of this very prestigious, program which we've been running for the investors. Thank you very much. So I'll just upload my presentation. Rohan, just confirm to me. Okay, thank you. So, friends, today, as Rohan said, that SIP has become the buzzword, and SIP. Why we are going to talk about SIP and some of those concepts in detail today. We are going to understand why SIP is very, very beneficial for our long-term investment, long-term goals, but also some of the concepts which really help us to understand what are the concept of the wealth creation. So I think let us take a minute and see. We talk about wealth creation, but what is wealth? Is it what you earn, or is it what you save? A lot of people have these piggy banks, and they save that money. So is that the wealth? The money which we keep behind or below our pillows, is that the wealth? So wealth, and why do we need that wealth? We need wealth because we have goals. We have goals to achieve, whether it could be our dream home, whether it could be our dream car, it could be for our retirement, it could be for our children education, could be marriage, could be anything else, could be holidays, those dream holidays. So we have dreams, we have goals, and we need wealth to really achieve all those goals. So we talked about the wealth. Income is what you earn. Saving is what you keep in your piggy bank, but wealth is what you accumulate when you invest, and that money grows. That is what the wealth is, which is needed. So, for example, if you take illustration, let's say on the left hand side, if you see, there is this gentleman A who actually earns income of 1 lakh rupees per month, but his saving is zero. While his earning is 1 lakh rupees per month, saving is zero. On the other hand, we have a gentleman whose income is 50,000 rupees per month, but he is saving 10,000 rupees per month and investing. If he invests at 10,000 rupees per month, and let's say it compounds by 12%, after 5 years, this saving will create a corpus of 32.25 lakhs. While if you look at in terms of the person who has been earning 1 lakh rupees per month, but without any saving, you can see that he has not created any wealth. So wealth, if you earn higher, doesn't mean that okay, you are wealthy. What you are saving and what you are investing will actually make you wealthy, and therefore that's very very important to understand that how much we are investing and for how much time. If you are giving longer time to our investments, your wealth will multiply, and we will understand that in the subsequent slides. So a lot of people also say that okay, yes, for creation of wealth creation you need to invest in the right time. So timing is very important. When the markets are down, you invest, although there are lot many investment options. But if we have to talk about markets, so a lot of people wait for that right time to invest in the market. But what they forget about is that market, you cannot time the market. And the way the wealth has been created is when you are actually invested into the market. And this is one very interesting slide, which is there, interesting data points, which talks about the concept that you need to stay invested at all the times, at all the weather. When the market is going down, when the market is going up, if you stay invested for a longer period of time, you are going to make the returns, and you cannot time the market. If you are invested in all the days, this is you can see that this is a data for BSC Sensex, and it talks about if you're invested on all the days, then your return is 12.43%. But if you actually just miss the 5 days, your return actually drops to 9%. If you miss 20 best days in the market, your return is actually 3.68%. And if you miss 30 best days in the market, your return is just 1.17%. So if you cannot time the market, and if you start getting into timing into the market when the markets are low, and then only you will invest in, then I think you will miss that entire cycle and experience of the market in terms of the return. So therefore, it is very very important if you want to experience this long term return, which is showing in this slide, which is 12.43. You need to stay invested for all the time, and this is the data for the last 10 years, just to give you a reference point. So there is a huge expense of timing the market, and if you stay invested at all the times, it is most likely that okay, you will enjoy the entire benefit of the return achieved in that market during the entire cycle. So timing the market is a high risk strategy. Timeless investing is the mantra. And in that perspective, when you look at SIP, is a very good solution because it invests a fixed sum consistently and continuously. So when you say SIP is nothing but systematic investment plan, you are investing systematically in the markets, whether it is through mutual funds, whether it is in equity schemes or equity and hybrid schemes, whichever the schemes you want to invest in. But if you invest in a regular fashion, in a disciplined way, you will you will create a much higher wealth in the market, and therefore SIP as a tool really helps us. What is SIP? It invests a fixed sum consistently and continuously. So irrespective of whether the markets are at lifetime high or whether the markets are down, whether they are markets are volatile, there is a fixed sum in a disciplined way which is going and investing in the market through your mutual funds. So they automatically buy more units when the market falls, because when the markets are falling, you will get the mutual fund units, you will get a higher units. It reduces the risk by spreading the investment over a long period of time, because you invest at different market levels, you invest for a longer period of time, so your risk get reduces, and then you get the benefit of the average cost of investment, because maybe when the market is high you are actually purchasing at a higher NAV, when the market is lower you are purchasing at a lower NAV and therefore higher units, so it gives you the average in terms of the investment. This slide also talks about in terms of the wealth creation which can happen through the long-term SIP, and no amount is small. So even this is an example of an SIP of rupees 2,000 rupees invested over a period of time, and you can look at this bar graph, and if you see, for example, if somebody has invested 2,000 rupees for 5 years, he has actually invested 1.2 lakh rupees, and the investment value of that 1.2 lakh rupees is 1.75 lakh rupees. But the same customer, if he does an SIP for 10 years, he has invested 2.4 lakh rupees. His investment value will be 2.78 lakh rupees. But if the same investment instead of 10 years will actually continue or discipline to 20 years, you can see the massive wealth creation which can happen. The total investment over a period of 20 years would be 4.8 lakh rupees. But the wealth which the investor will create is 19.2 lakhs. So you can see the substantial difference if you really invest it for a longer period of time, and even a small amount of 2000 rupees can create that kind of difference in terms of your wealth, and can help you achieve your goals which are there. So if you want to build long-term wealth, SIP is one way where you can build a long-term wealth. Invest regularly, invest every month, uh, and you can decide your SIP amount in consultation with your partners, in terms of your advisors, depending upon what a goal it is. Also, it is very, very important that why you if you start investing early. So and this is an example in terms of how that wealth creation differs. So for example, if you look at, we have two gentlemen, Karan and Varun here. Karan has actually done an SIP of 15,000 rupees. He has done an investment of 15,000 rupees per month, which is an SIP. And he actually started at the age of 40 years. So he was like somebody who woke up late at the age of 40, but he decided that at least I will do an STP now. And till the age of 60, that means for 20 years, he did that SIP. Total investment over a period of 20 years, which he has made, was 36 lakhs at 15,000 rupees per month. And the corpus at the age of 60 years, which got created, was hoping 1.49 crore. It's a huge amount which he created. So Karan created a corpus, huge corpus for his retirement, when he decided that at the age of 40 years to do an SIP of 15,000 rupees per month. It's against Varun, who was in a smart chair. And what he did is that he invested 5,000 rupees only, and he started investing when he was 25 years of age. And he only invested till 10 years. That means age 35 years. And he continues to hold the investment till 60 years. That 6 lakh rupees which he invested over a period of 10 years through an SIP of 5,000 rupees per month, actually at the time of his retirement will be 1.97 crore. That means approximately 2 crores. So you can see that Varun has actually accumulated much significantly higher amount than Karan, just by investing, starting early and investing for a longer period of time. So invest early is again a very, very important aspect of the investment which we need to keep in mind. So it is not only about that you invest higher investment amount, but even smaller amounts, if you start investing early, can create a huge potential difference for you. Another slide also talks about in terms of investing at different stages. So somebody who has actually started at the age of 25 years, and that is what we are talking about, starting early. And if he has invested for 5,000 rupees per month, and he has actually done the investment till the age of 60 years, the assumed rate of growth is 12%. In When you start at the age of 25 years, you actually accumulate 3 crore 25 lakh rupees at the age of 60 years, when you are doing an SIP only for 5,000 rupees per month. When you start at 30 years, instead of 3.25 crores, the actual amount at the 60 years will be 1.76. So you can see that the amount has actually, while the number of years, instead of 25 years, you have started at the age of 30 years, but even that delay of 5 years can actually, your corpus is just 50% of what you could have achieved at the age of 25 years. So starting early is very, very important. Staying investing for longer period of time creates magic as far as the compounding is concerned. And you can clearly see, for example, if somebody has started at the age of 50 years, and if he invests till the age of 60 years, which is basically 10 years, he has invested about 6 lakh rupees, and the corpus is only 12 lakh rupees. So against the best is that, okay, if you start early, somebody who has started at the age of 25 years, own the entire investment over a period till 60 years is only 21 lakh rupees. And that 21 lakh rupees, the corpus has grown to 3 crore 25 lakh rupees. So clearly there is a huge wealth creation which can happen if you start early. But if you're not started early, even it is never late to invest. Somebody who started at 40 years, 5,000 rupees per month, monthly SIP, invest for 20 years, can still make 50 lakh rupees corpus, as compared to somebody who has actually started at 50 years and he will make a corpus of only 12 lakh rupees. So it's never late to start, but yes, definitely if you start early, you will enjoy the benefit of compounding. You will enjoy that the compounding is working in favor of you, and you will have you know much higher corpus which is available for you. So, power of compounding, another example, which is again, it is not only investing for the long term, but also it depends upon which asset classes you are investing in. So, for example, if you are investing in equity mutual funds, and if you look at the long term return is 14-15% versus any kind of traditional methods, and if you're investing in the return is only 8%, that 8% and 15% difference will create a huge difference in terms of your corpus. And here is an example. If you have invested actually 2,000 rupees per month for 30-year period, and if you have invested in a product which has given you 6% return, then the corpus which you will accumulate is about 20 lakh rupees. Versus if you would invest in a product which has given you 10% return over the period of 30 years, you have actually created a corpus of 46 lakhs. And if you have, for example, let's say 15% compounding, if you invest in asset class which is giving you 15% compounding, it actually grew up to 1.4 crores. So you can clearly see the difference between 6% and 15%, 20 lakhs versus 1.4 crores. So 7 times of difference, depending upon what kind of return experience which you have. So your choice of products, your choice of asset classes also makes that kind of difference in terms of your wealth creation. Now, a lot of times, I'm sure you must have heard about that SIP is good and there is a rupee cost averaging benefit which you get. What is that rupee cost averaging? And let me just give you with example. What happens is that when you do an SIP, markets are volatile. So you will see a period where the markets are going up. You will see the period where the markets are coming down, and then again going up. So while over a long period of time you will see the markets going up, but between in the medium term and in the near term you will always see the volatility in the market. Now that volatility is good because that gives you rupee cost averaging, because whenever through a disciplined investing, when you are investing every month, what happens is that when the markets are lower, it purchases at lower NAVs, which we call as net asset value, and therefore you acquire higher units. When the markets are high, you purchase at a higher NAV, and therefore the number of units are lower. And therefore, since this is a continuous process you are doing in a disciplined way, you get the benefit of the rupee cost averaging. Now, here is an example. For example, if you have investing 2,000 rupees every month, and the net asset value, which is the NAV of the mutual fund scheme in which you are investing, will give you will also change every month, and every day it changes. So when your SIP hits every month, they are buying units at different points of time. So while you can see in this presentation that the average cost is much lower than what you are able to get in a particular month, and therefore you get that benefit in terms of averaging cost. There again, this is the same example. Even if you actually invest in a lump sum, you don't get the benefit of rupee cost averaging. So that SIP gives you benefit of rupee cost averaging because every month you are purchasing the units, and therefore you get the benefit of that. So invest systematically, accumulate wealth over the long term, make the most of the market volatility, and SIP helps you to make the best out of the market volatility. And during the rising and the falling prices, you purchase at a lower cost of transfer. There are two other solutions which are there, which is STP and SWP. But I think for today's presentation, we will restrict ourselves to SIP. So this was a quick introduction to SIP as a concept and some of the wealth creation concept, which I thought that would be very helpful to you. More than happy, Rohan, if you have any follow-up questions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for this insightful knowledge that you shared with us about SIPs. To start off with, we have few questions for you, and the first question that we have is, uh, so for a beginner who's first time
Hmm.
to mutual funds, uh, what kind of an SIP, in terms of what could be his ideal starting point to decide to how to go about the amount of SIP that he starts, to choosing the nature or the category of the mutual fund. So if you could throw some light on that, so that our investors get a direction of how to actually start SIP, which becomes really challenging for many of us.
Sure. No, thank you so much, Rohan, for asking that. So I think anybody who's starting, it depends upon what kind of goal that investor has. Of course, what kind of risk profile that investor has. But assuming, for example, if somebody who is a young investor, let's say starting his job or his career and started early, so of course he will have some medium-term goals and a long-term goals. From a long-term goal perspective, definitely he can look at diversified equity funds, and there he can actually invest in for period of 15, 20, 25 years, and then it will create wealth creation for him. From a medium term perspective, he can look at some kind of hybrid funds, which are basically aggressive hybrid equity funds, or uh, which is a combination of both equity and debt, and that will help him in to achieve his medium term objectives in terms of risk also, because it has got some kind of hybrid debt portion also. So you will see a lower volatility as far as aggressive hybrid funds are compared as compared to diversified equity fund. So for long term perspective, you can look at diversified equity fund. For medium term goals, you can look at hybrid funds. Of course, if there is any kind of short term goals, then he can look at the fixed income funds, or the debt funds, where volatility will be comparatively lower. But of course, from a return expectation perspective also, then he has to fine tune his expectation and align his expectation of the returns accordingly.
Uh, Thank you, sir. I have one more question for you. While we have started, and while choosing the date of
Hmm.
SIP, uh,
Hmm.
there is this apprehension ki should I start the first 5 days of the SIP date or the last 5 days? So first day the salary comes, and by fifth I know I will have. So there is this question, always a dilemma, that should we choose our SIP date as within the first 5 days, or it should be the end of the month? And what would be your recommendation for the same?
So I think what is more important is to start an SIP. Okay, I think what is least important is that, okay, whether it is, do it in first 5 days or the last 5 days. I think most critical is to start SIP, because that is as a discipline is extremely important. Other things can follow in place. But yeah,
Right.
I think I personally believe that from a investment perspective, if you are getting your salary on first, okay, so it is better to, so your income minus investment is what should be available to you for, your expenditure. So you get your income, let's say on first, make your investments subsequently, and the rest of the amount is available to you for your expenses.
Right. I have one last question for you with respect to SIP. We start in SIP, and there is this common terminology that people keep asking: should I step up the SIP? Should I top up the SIP? Right? And what is the percentage of this top up or a step up that I should any individual or any investor think about after starting an SIP for, let's say, 1 year or 2 year? What should be the time horizon? Should he step it up after 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? So some direction with respect to that, sir.
So I think let's take a step back and see and understand, okay, why this top up has been talked about. Correct. The concept of top up is that your income will keep on increasing every year. So if you are a salaried employee, you will get some increments. If you're a businessman, maybe your business will grow, and therefore you will have a much higher earnings, which are there. So while maybe I want to do an SIP of 50,000 rupees, but my income allows me to do a SIP of 20,000 rupees. So it doesn't mean that okay, I need to be static as far as 20,000 is concerned. So today it is 20,000. With a SIP top up, I can always take an option that okay, as next year it should be 22,000. After that, it should be 24,000. So instead of doing multiple SIPs, I can just continue to do a top up with my existing SIP, and it can increase and it can change depending upon my rising income levels, and also depending upon in terms of my goals. So how an SIP top up can help me? SIP top up can help me to achieve my goals faster. So if I'm doing an SIP of X amount, let's say 20,000 rupees per month, and that is required to achieve my goal in next 5 years, maybe if I'm doing an SIP top up, I could achieve that goal in 3.5 years. So it can help me to achieve my goals faster. It can also, in a systematic, in a disciplined way, what's happening is that when as my income is increasing, my investments are also increasing in that fashion. So that I think it helps in a much more disciplined way to the investor.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session. Before ending, I'd like to quickly summarize what you discussed with us. We spoke about what is wealth. Wealth is what you accumulate. Don't stress about timing the market. Timing the market can be expensive, but timeless investing is the mantra. Do timeless investing through SIPs, which are consistent, fixed amount of our money invested regularly. Invest early and start with SIP. Staying invested for a long term will help you leverage the power of compounding. Choose the right asset class or the product for wealth creation, and make the best of rupees cost averaging with SIPs. Sir, before we end, if you have anything, last views and last points that you want to share with our viewers, please do go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I would only just say that when you do an SIP, I would suggest that they should keep a goal in mind and do that SIP accordingly. So if it is a goal for the child education, and if that cost is 50 lakh rupees, I think do a backward calculation and say that okay, as I need to do an SIP of 10,000 rupees or 11,500 rupees. It should not be like I'm doing an SIP. I'm just starting with 1,000 rupees because I want to do an SIP, because it should be goal oriented, and you need to do an SIP which is adequate enough to meet your goal. It should not be just for doing an SIP. So please keep that goal in mind. Calculate that amount which is needed, not today, but after taking into inflation into account, after taking into account that after 10 years, 5 years, what will be that goal amount which I'll be needed, and do that SIP accordingly. I think then you will find that SIP is your sathi to help you achieve your goal.
Thank you so much, sir. And I'd like to thank all our viewers for watching this session. We certainly learned a lot about SIPs and their benefits. We are confident that with this session, our investors will make more informed decisions to achieve their financial goals. I would like our viewers to please share and comment in the video. Also, if you have any queries, please you can email it to us or comment below. Our team of experts will get back to you with the right answers. At the same time, I'll request the viewers to please download our Bajaj FinServ app and explore the mutual fund sections. We have more than thousands of options available, which are suitable for every goal, every risk appetite, and all your investment needs. Uh, Thank you all. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Rohan.